All right, welcome back to Sports Now. My stumbles are out the way. We're ready to roll. The Selection Sunday is here. Some surprises, maybe from the #1 overall seeds. Alabama, the #1 overall seed. Then you have Purdue, Houston, Kansas. Any surprises with those 4 #1 seeds for you?
Yeah, not necessarily. Houston was, a high seed that we thought was going to be a high seed, right? Because they were oftentimes the #1 team in the country. Kansas held on to the #1 spot. Alabama, clearly, Marquette. So not Marquette, but Purdue. So no, I have no issue with the overall #1 seeds in terms of the 4 regions. No.
Now, as far as Kansas, what do you think about them in their terms of going back to the Final Four, being able to repeat? They have some really, really good, talented players, but do they have enough to get the job done again this year?
Yeah, I got a little bit of bias for the Kansas Jayhawks, Rock Chalk, but at the end of the day, I do believe that they're talented enough to get to the Final Four again. Because last year, you think about Ochai Agbaji and what he was able to do and elevate their squad, and they have that guy this year in Jalen Wilson. I know that one of the question marks has been, is Bill Self going to be available?
Exactly.
And he was released from discharged from the hospital earlier today, and he says that he's fine, he's good to go, he's healthy, and he'll be coaching. So whenever you got a Hall of Fame basketball coach on the sideline there, that takes your team to another level.
Now, when we talked about this show and what you wanted to talk about on here, we talked about a sleeper. Now, your sleeper may not be a sleeper to the rest of America. The Duke Blue Devils, the #5 seed, coming out of the Eastern bracket. Why do you think they're a sleeper this year? They did win their last 8 games of the season. They did win the ACC title. But why do you think this team can get over the hump and win?
They're a mild sleeper. So I won't call them like a massive sleeper, like in the traditional sense.
Right.
But I do think that Duke they're peaking and playing well at the right time. I think that the identity of Duke basketball is still Coach K.
Right.
And Coach K is no longer there, right? So they're trying to, define who they are moving forward. And I think a lot of people haven't figured that out yet. Early on in the year, some of the young guys, some of the freshmen that were much discussed and highly recruited weren't playing all that well. I think they're really starting to really finally get into a rhythm. And so I think Duke could be a serious test for Purdue because they're in the same Eastern region.
Leading right into my next question, Purdue, #1 overall seed, or not #1 overall seed, but a #1 seed in the tournament. Do you think they are deserving of that seeding, and do you think they will take control of that position that they're in now?
Do I think that they're deserving of being a 1 seed? Absolutely.
Okay.
Do I think that they are a team that's going to make the Final Four and potentially could be a national champion? No.
Ooh.
And the reason why I say that is, for one, the Big Ten's way down this year. I love Zach Edey and what he brings to the table, his toughness, his ability to score around the paint, what he's able to do defensively. But I question their guards.
Right.
And we know that in March, guard play means a lot. And so I think that there's some inconsistency that they have in terms of knocking down shots on the perimeter. And they have stretches where they can't score the basketball. So I think that Purdue is a vulnerable #1 seed. But I think in some sense you could say that about each one of the #1s.
Yeah. Every year you can say
I think that there could be, when we say March Madness, I think there could be a lot of madness this year. I think that it's going to be really hard for people to dive into the brackets and fill out a bracket that's going to look decent and reasonable at the end of the day. But you got to do it, right?
So are you going out on a limb and saying that all of these #1 seeds may not make it to the Final
I'm not
Four?
going to say that.
Okay. I just wanted it on record now. Okay. Now, the Gophers, they didn't go dancing this year, unfortunately. Tough season for them. But Farrell Payne, you seem to think that this guy's going to be an NBA stud one day. What makes you believe that? And how can the Gophers build around that young, talented freshman?
Yeah, I like his tenacity in the paint. I love his energy. I love the fact that, he has an NBA body already.
Right.
Like,
6'9", 230.
Yeah, when you get a lot of high school kids that's going to, high-level Division I basketball, they're kind of scrawny, they're not really coordinated. No, he's got the total package. And he knows what he is. Like, he's a post player. He knows that he's a 4.
Right.
He's not trying to be a 1 or a 2. He's not KD or any of that. So knowing who you are and where your skill set, where you can actually make an impact, I think that bodes well for the Gopher program. So I know there's always going to be a lot of talk probably in the next couple of months about will he stay and who's going to be in the transfer portal, who's not, whatever. But that kid, if he stays here and continues to work on his craft, I think he could be special.
Okay. Now, before we let you go, I want to get your take on the pros now. We're going to go up a level. The Timberwolves, 7th in the Western Conference, entering tonight. They're trying to avoid that play-in game. Anthony Edwards, top 20 in the league in scoring. Karl Anthony Towns, rumored to be coming back. Do they need him to make a run? What are your thoughts on Cat?
For the Timberwolves to make a run, Karl Anthony Towns has to come back. He has to come back. But what version of Karl Anthony Towns are you going to get? And also, what does it look like when him and Rudy are both on the court at the same time? I think that ultimately, the meshing and the chemistry, that's what matters the most. Because that Anthony Edwards is going to do his thing. That Rudy Gobert is going to play good defense, and he's actually been good offensively. But what does it look like when Cat's there in terms of the spacing and how that impacts all of the other players?
So the Timberwolves will be in the play-in tournament or not in the play-in tournament? I'm putting you on the spot right now.
They will be in the play-in tournament.
They will be in the play-in
tournament. They
tournament.
will be in the play-in tournament. I wish that they were not in the play-in tournament and they were one of the top 6 teams, but they'll be in the play-in tournament.
Do you think they get past the play-in tournament and go to the real playoffs?
It depends on who they're matched up with. I don't have a great sense that this team is going to go far.
Okay.
So if you're asking me right now, do I think they win a playoff series the way they're currently constructed? I would say no.
Yes or no question, do Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns gel on the court together?
I haven't seen it.
That's your answer, so I'll take that as a no. That's Henry Lake from CCO Radio. We'll be right back.